Have you ever wondered what's really happening when you click a link or type in a web address? How does a totally blank screen just become a website? It honestly feels a bit like magic, right? Well, it's actually a pretty cool story of two different sides working together. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the tech that makes every single website you visit tick. So here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the web's two fundamental sides. Then we'll check out the toolkits for both the client and the server. After that, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into HTML, which is like the web's skeleton. We'll even decode some of those weird-looking tags. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together. Sound good? Let's jump in. All right, first things first. We need to talk about the two sides of the web. Seriously, if you can get your head around this one concept, everything else is going to make so much more sense. Okay, that big question actually has a pretty simple answer, especially if you think about it like you're going out to eat at a restaurant. I mean, think about it. You sit down, someone hands you a menu, you tell them what you want, and a little while later, your food just shows up from the kitchen. Believe it or not, a website works almost the exact same way. So on one side, you have what's called the client side. That's the dining room. It's your web browser. It's the menu in your hands. Basically, it's everything you can actually see and click on. But then, on the other side, you've got the server side. That's the kitchen. It's this powerful hidden computer that stores the website, takes your order, prepares it, and sends the finished meal, the web page, right back to your table. Okay, so let's start in that dining room and take a look at the client-side tools. There are three main languages that your browser, whether it's Chrome, Safari, or anything else, speaks fluently. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with HTML. That stands for Hypertext Markup Language. If a web page were a house, HTML would be the bare-bones skeleton. It's not about the style or the paint color, it's just the raw structure. The walls, the rooms, the doorways. It's the absolute foundation. Now, to make that skeleton actually look like a home, you need CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS is all the fun stuff. It's the paint on the walls, the furniture, the pictures you hang up. It handles all the visual styling, the colors, the fonts, the spacing, turning that plain HTML skeleton into a beautiful, polished design. And what's really cool is that they're separate, so you can completely redecorate the house without ever knocking down the walls. And the final piece of the puzzle here is JavaScript. This is what brings the house to life. Think of it like the electricity and the plumbing. JavaScript handles all the interactive stuff, innovations, pop-up windows, submitting a form. It can even talk to the server behind the scenes without you having to reload the page. This is what turns a static page into a dynamic, living application. Okay, now that we've spent some time in the dining room, let's push through those swinging doors and take a peek inside the server-side powerhouse. The kitchen, where all the real cooking happens. Inside this kitchen, you've got your chefs. These are the server-side programming languages like PHP, Python, and Java. When you request a page, these languages get to work. They don't just grab a pre-made file. Oh no. They might calculate what's in your shopping cart, pull up your user profile, and then build a totally custom HTML page just for you, right on the spot. And of course, every good kitchen needs a well-stocked pantry, right? That's where the database comes in. Technologies like MySQL and MongoDB are where the website stores all of its ingredients: user accounts, product info, blog posts, you name it. The server-side languages, or chefs, grab what they need from this pantry to cook up the page you asked for. So now let's zoom back in on the single most fundamental piece of this whole puzzle, HTML. Because no matter how complicated the kitchen gets, no matter how many chefs are back there, what it ultimately serves to the dining room is always a structured HTML document. This is a really important distinction to make. HTML is not a programming language. It's what's known as a markup language. It doesn't perform actions or do calculations. It just describes the content. It tells the browser, hey, this chunk of text is a heading, or this part here is a paragraph. The browser then does all the heavy lifting of actually displaying it correctly. And almost every piece of HTML is built from three incredibly simple parts. First, you have a start tag, which tells the browser, hey, something is starting right here. Then you have the content itself, the text or image you want to show. And finally, you have an end tag, which looks just like the start tag, but with a / to say, okay, we're done. That's it. So, enough with the theory. Let's see this in action. We're going to look at some really basic HTML code and see exactly how a browser takes that text and turns it into a web page you can actually see. Okay, let's look at two of the most common tags you'll ever see. The H1 tag stands for heading 1, and it's basically for the main title of a page. And the P tag, like we just saw, is for a standard paragraph. So, the browser reads this plain text with these weird angle brackets. What does it actually put on your screen? Let's take a look. And there it is. See how that works? The browser knows that H1 means make this text big and bold, and that P just means make this a normal paragraph. The tags themselves completely disappear, leaving behind only the nicely formatted content. Pretty simple, right? Let's try 2 more real quick. In this first paragraph, we've wrapped the word bold inside of B tags. And in the second one, we've stuck a BR tag right in the middle. That stands for break. So, what do you think is going to happen this time? How is the browser going to interpret these new instructions? Yep, exactly what you'd think. The tag just makes the text bold, and the BR tag inserts a line break, forcing whatever comes after it onto a brand new line. And you might notice BR is a special kind of tag that doesn't need an end tag. It just does its job all by itself. So here's a little cheat sheet of the tags we just covered. We've got H1 for big headings, P for paragraphs, B to make text bold, and BR for a simple line break. These 4 simple tags are literally the building blocks for a massive amount of the content you see online. Okay, let's bring it all home. We've hung out in the dining room, we've taken a peek into the kitchen, and we've looked closely at the words on the menu. Let's run through that full restaurant experience one last time. So, let's recap the big idea here. The client side is the dining room. It's everything you see and interact with. The server side is the hidden kitchen, working behind the scenes to prepare your page. And HTML is the menu itself, giving structure to all the content. And a really great website, a seamless online experience, only happens when both of these sides are working together in perfect harmony. It's kind of wild to think about, but everything from the biggest social media site in the world to the simplest personal blog, it all starts with these basic building blocks. This simple structure of servers and clients and HTML tags is what powers our entire digital world. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?